Good afternoon, folks, and welcome to another edition of An Hour with Bob. Here we are in February, and last night in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, I joke with Diane, who is my director here. She lives in Taunton, Massachusetts, and she likes the heat. I don't like the heat. I like it warm, but I don't like it hot. She likes it hot. But I said to her when I found out this, and it was purely by accident, I'm watching the weather one night, and I found out that in Pawtucket it was, well, in fact, I'll go by last night. In Pawtucket, it was 12 degrees. In Taunton, it was 2 degrees. So here she is. She likes heat more than I do, and she's living in the coldest spot. If you look on the map from now on, you look on a Rhode Island and southeastern Massachusetts map, and you will see almost every night or day, the temperature in Taunton, Massachusetts is lower, significantly lower than it is in Providence, Rhode Island, which is pretty funny to me. The only town in Rhode Island that competes with it is Burrillville, which also gets I think they get 10 inches of snow the other day. You know, I thought we were only going to get a couple inches of snow this last storm. But anyway, let's get back to the show. My guest today is a wonderful young lady who is with Channel 6 now. She's the co-anchor with my good friend, John DeLuca, on ABC6. We'll find out what time she's on, because I know it's like 4 to 6:30 or whatever. I don't know how much of that time she's involved in it. But as soon as you see her, you'll recognize her and you know who I'm talking about. Her name is Tiffany Murphy, and she comes by way of Texas and Iowa and all these other places around. And here she is. You put her on too quick. You put her on too soon. There she is, Tiffany. How you doing?
Surprise! Hi, that was a great intro. Thanks.
What's it? Well, that's
that was good.
The what do they call that? The thing that they use? The monitor?
The monitor?
Yeah, what do they call
The
that?
teleprompter?
Teleprompter. Yeah, that's
You don't have one.
I know, that's why I said
love
that.
it. That was perfect.
That's what I said.
You've been doing this a couple years.
No
though.
notes, no notes, no nothing.
Well, what's on your hand, Bob?
Hey, that's a different story.
What is that? What are you playing poker later?
That was a
counting
girl's
cards?
phone number. That was a girl's phone number.
Okay. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Now, you've been with ABC6 as you're the co-anchor.
Yeah.
Right? Now, what time out of the 4 to 6:30, what part of that are you?
All of it, my friend. So I'm on
you
at
do all of
4, 5 to 5:30, and then John does the 5:30 to 6.
Well,
I do
wait.
the 4 to 4:30 by myself.
Oh, that's what I was going to say,
Yeah.
because you skipped over that. You went 4 to
Wow.
5, and then
So 4 to 4:30 is by myself, and then
Right.
we're on again at 5, and John and I co-anchor from 5 to 5:30, and then he does it by himself from 5:30 to 6, and then we're on again together at 6, and then we're on again together at 11.
Wow.
Yeah, the day goes by quick. I love it though.
Does it?
Yeah.
Now, what do you do in between, after 7 or 6:30
Well, we write scripts.
for the 11?
Yeah, I take a dinner break then, go home and feed my dogs, and give my dog, who's a little
Dogs?
older.
How many dogs?
I give him his pill. I have 2 dogs.
What kind?
And I have 2 cats.
Oh, God.
We'll get into that more later.
That's what I'd be afraid of.
What?
Going, because we talked about it off there. We're
Yeah.
going to get into it about dating apps. But that's what I'd be afraid of, getting a dating app and getting a woman that's got like 2 pit bulls or something and 4 cats or some damn thing like that.
Well, I gotta say pit bulls. Pit bulls can be nice. It all depends on the
Oh,
owner.
really?
It does.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Some
Bob.
of them, it's just in there. I've seen
Sweet as can be.
a little girl on the next street from me a few years ago, several years ago now, time does fly, especially as you get older. And this young girl, little kid, a year old, 15 months old, whatever, playing on the floor, and she
Yeah.
must have poked the pit bull in the eye. Pit bull grabbed her by the face, and the cop had to shoot the dog to get the dog, kill the dog on the spot to get him off her. And that was a pit bull that was brought up from birth. They had it. It wasn't a rescue dog.
Yeah.
And, oh, the dog's so nice, so nice. It's just they're whacked. Those dogs are whacked. I'm sure I'm going to get some remarks about that. So forget
Let's
it.
change
Don't worry.
course. So,
Just look at the statistics, national statistics.
so when I was growing up, my mom didn't allow me to have a dog, so we had a cat. And then as soon as I left,
I'd rather have a dog than a cat anyway, though.
Yeah, well,
I'll
teach
get-
their
I'll
own,
get more
right?
calls for that.
Yeah, you will. And then when I left for school, my mom got a dog. I'm like, Mom, what the heck, right?
Really?
Yeah. 'cause
Wait
she
a
wants-
minute. What's wrong with that picture?
Well, she
wouldn't let
missed
you
me.
have a dog?
Right. I know. It's a whole thing. Yeah. So when I left for college, I went to college, did the whole shebang, and I was living all over the place, and I'm an only child, and so I
was gonna get
wanted,
into that, yeah.
it's nice to come home to something, right?
Right.
But in TV, you work crazy hours,
Right.
you're working all the time, holidays, all of it. And so I went to go get one cat when I was living in Vegas for the first time. And I went to the Humane Society in Las Vegas, and the woman said, well, could you please adopt the brother, who was a black cat? It was just around Halloween, and she said, by the next time we have an adoption event, he'll be older. Nobody really likes black cats. I'm like, what?
Why? Are they prejudiced?
Well, because they're bad. Apparently, there's, some bad
They are
karma
bad.
with black cats.
I know they call, the devil and all that
No,
stuff. Yeah.
but, so I said, oh my goodness, I was just planning to get one. I live
So
in
you
this
got two of
small, I got both. And it was the best decision I ever made because they hang out together. They're brothers, and they look very different. One is black, and one is like a Mancoon mix, white with gray, really beautiful. And the black one turned out to be my favorite. He's the sweetest. Yeah, he's not needy. He doesn't meow a lot like the other one. He's very sweet, yeah. So a few years later, I've always wanted a dog, right? And a few years later, my schedule had slowed down a little bit. I was living about a mile away from the TV station that I was working at.
Right. And this is still in Vegas?
This is just outside of Vegas in a place called Laughlin, Nevada.
Yeah,
I've
been
right,
there.
right along the Colorado River. And so I got a Yorkie. Cutest thing ever. I trained him. I didn't really know what to do, right? So I watched some YouTube videos. I ended up training him. He knows about, 15, 25 words.
What do you mean he knows? Oh, whatever you say.
I talked to him, and I, converted each word, right? Like he rings a bell when he has to go outside. He knows how to shake, roll over, give me a high five. He knows, let's go to bed, let's go downstairs. He knows the word box. My dogs are kennel trained. So really smart.
Wow.
He's a little sassy. And then my other dog.
They are, by nature.
Yeah, they are. And then my other dog, so he's 10 now. His name's Teddy. And then my other dog, when I moved to Texas, I wanted a bigger dog. I had a big house with a big yard, and so I adopted, he's just a mix. He's like 65 pounds, and he's the sweetest dog that you'll ever meet.
I think the mixes are better than a pedigree.
They say that, because sometimes they're too closely bred, yeah.
Right, yeah. The pedigrees, sometimes it's a brother and sister and the mother and the son and all that kind of stuff, which supposedly isn't good anyway.
Right.
Yeah. But I had my favorite dog, believe this. In fact, I was in the process of writing a book.
Very cool.
About my life. And I stopped it because things weren't going well. I had a ghostwriter helping me, and we just weren't on the same page, so to speak. They were on the second chapter, and they sent me the write, the workup, right? And it said in the chapter, it said I was being pregnant, and I went, what? I'm looking at the thing. I said, they're obviously doing too many things at the same time because they had me listed as a pregnant woman.
Stop.
I called them up. I said, this is done. And on their side, though, they gave me back all my money.
Oh, that's positive.
Yeah, it was, I had to threaten them a little bit, but they gave me back all my money. Really? It's $4,500. Yeah.
Maybe you should just start journaling every day, and you could turn that into. You have a lot of good stories.
I have. What's that?
You have a lot of good stories. I feel like.
Oh, I do have a
it'd be
lot
fun
of
to
good
read.
stories. I've kept diaries for like 40 years, so I have a lot of stuff on that's available to me that I could, and I planned on, and I put them down. And when they put that it was a female, pregnant female on top of it, I said, wait a minute, you don't.
Whose book were they writing?
Yeah, who are you writing for? I said, no, this is all done. Oh, no, we'll fix it. I said, nah, too late.
Yeah.
Besides, I didn't even like that first chapter.
Game over.
It sucked. First chapter sucked. You got, I'm the great easygoing guy, but when you do me wrong, it's done.
Yeah.
The party's over.
I hear you.
But I'm going to do it, and in one of the first chapter, actually, I had a dog named Muggsy, and he was a lab.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was a lab. Yeah, he was a lab, a black lab. Beautiful dog, and sweet, like you said, sweet dog, but a good-sized dog, too. They're like 80 pounds, 75, 80 pounds. And his only downside was he didn't like motorcycles.
Oh.
And back in the day, growing up, and I actually live on the same street, in the same house where I grew up in. My mother died, and I ended up taking over the house, and I gutted it out. I spent over $200,000. I did the whole house over.
Good for you.
And it was a three-family. I turned it, now it's a one. I live there alone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we have a big porch, goes the whole width of the house, it's 30 feet across, and here comes the motorcycle. And this cop used to come down my street all the time, and no, I don't even want to say his name. His name was Nick, anyway, his first name. And he would do it on purpose. I know he did it on purpose. He would come, and he'd come to the corner of my street. My house is 2 houses from the corner, second house from the corner. He'd come around the corner, and he'd come by slow, and then he'd nail it. And back in the day, the cops drove Harleys, with the side shifter on the Harleys, right? Big, very noisy motorcycle. Even the cops were. And he'd come by, and he'd nail it. My dog would chase him, and, he'd hit it, and out the way he goes. Well, this one day, my father's at work, my mother's kitchen, cooking, or whatever, doing something in the kitchen. And here comes this guy around the corner, and he comes right by the house, and he nails it. He waits till the dog comes out, comes near him, and he nails it. Well, he nailed it, and just as he nailed it, my dog grabbed his boot. He got him by the boot. You know what the cop did?
I don't know if I want to know. What?
Shot him.
Yeah.
He shot him.
So sorry.
So, all hell broke loose. He took off. My mother called the cops, called my father. My father come right home. Now, I had 8 brothers and sisters. Actually, at that time, we didn't have 8 because my father was still alive. So my youngest brother was born 6 weeks after my father died. So there was 7 of us, right? 3 of them were in diapers, still in diapers. And so my father comes home, and he's furious. My mother's, I'm all bent out of shape. My dog, this is my dog. So he calls the station and we knew who the cop was. I knew the cop because, like I said, he did it all the time. So he said he'll be over after work, which was a good thing because he come over after work in street clothes. And they're talking, and he got a little sassy with my father. He goes, well, if the damn dog wasn't on, back in the day, they didn't have leash laws. There was no leash laws. You didn't have to have your dog chained up. He goes, well, it's too bad. He got me. My father just knocked him right out. He knocked him right out. He was my hero. He knocked him right out, one shot.
My word.
Yeah. And he couldn't be charged for hitting the cop because he was off duty. But he got charged with assault. And he went to court, and he told the judge what had happened. And we're all in there, me and my brothers and sisters are all in the courtroom. And, we just lost our dog because of this jerk. And the judge dropped the charges on my father, which pissed the guy off pretty good, the cop. But,
yeah.
Yeah. He turned to him, and he read him the riot act. You're pulling your gun out to kill a dog? What if the bullet ricocheted and shot hit somebody else, whatever? He really reamed him out.
Wow.
But, he didn't get any other trouble other than that. But my father got out of any trouble.
Did he stop going down your street after that incident?
He didn't go down the street very often, and he never came down the street and, doing the gas like he used to do. No, actually, come to think of it, I don't think he came down the street very often after that.
I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Yeah, isn't that awful?
I'm sorry.
He was only like 6 years old. He was a good dog, a great dog.
Yeah. Dogs are so
and
amazing.
And to see it happen,
Yeah.
I saw it happen.
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Dogs really are amazing though, because I've lived all across the country, and so it's sometimes are very lonely,
Yep.
because you're moving, and as you become an adult, it takes longer to meet new friends and kind of acclimate to a city and know your way around. And so my dogs have really been my saving grace. My cats too, but I like the dogs better. Don't tell anyone.
Well, the cats are more independent. They they don't need you except when they want food. They don't, They don't care for you.
Yeah.
But a dog fetches the paper. A cat ain't gonna fetch the paper.
Yeah, you taught your dog how to fetch the paper.
3 days. And
Smart.
I saw my dog born. My dog's name was Jack. He was a Beagle. And he was one of 8. And he was the only one that looked this way, had more brown than he had black.
Yeah.
Most of them are black and white, with a little bit, sometimes some brown. But my dog had a lot more brown than black. And, I played with all the little baby puppies. And, my son picked out Jack. And we had to wait, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 weeks or something before we could take him. And I took him home, and within 3 days, I don't know if I actually started the day he got home, but was within the week or so, we were living in East Greenwich, and I had a real nice yard. It was all fenced in, and he would let him out the front door, and he would go out and do his business, and he'd come back in. So the paper would come. It would be out there. So one day I decided just to try it, and I had him pick up the paper, hold it in his mouth, and walked him in the house with it. And I did that 3 days. I got video to prove it, too.
I believe you.
I don't have it here, but I'll bring it someday. I'm going to show it. I have a video of him going out, doing his business, grabbing the paper, and bringing it back in. And this is when he was a little tiny puppy, so it was real difficult with the Providence Sunday Journal. The Sunday Journal
Probably
was
weighed
difficult.
more than he did.
Yeah, and especially because he was short at the time, if he grabbed it by the end of the plastic, it was dragging between his legs. So I taught him how to grab it by the side where it folds. You know, grab it by the side. And one day, we'll get off this story with this one. One day, he went out and they were painting the house next door. He goes out to the front of the house, does his business. He walks down the property line, right along the fence, down the side. Oh, I'm sorry. He picks up the paper and he goes down the side, comes on the side of the house, turns around, comes back, and I'm standing waiting for the paper. He walks up, and the guys are painting, and they're watching him. Now they come over to the fence to watch him. They're right at the fence, on the other side of the fence, and he knows it. And he walks down. He was showing off. He did the whole thing and come back in the house with the, I said, "You hot tomato." Yeah, he was showing off for them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
One of my favorite stories I ever did was in Las Vegas. It was called the Beagle Freedom Project, and
Beagles too, huh?
Yeah, so it was created by a woman that ended up graduating from my alma mater as well, Pepperdine University.
I was going to get
in
into
Malibu,
that.
California, and so this is kind of a sad story, but it ends well. So she was seeing that beagles are the #1 dogs that research labs choose to do their research on, and because they're so sweet, they're so docile.
Right.
And so these dogs basically grow up in a kennel.
No.
They've never felt a personal touch.
Oh, no.
They've never felt grass.
I
They've
wanna
never
hear
been
that.
told good boy, good girl. And after they're used, then the companies get rid of them. They kill them.
They kill him.
So she saw this injustice
God, no.
happening. So she created the Beagle Freedom Project. And so basically she would go to China and all these other places and take the dogs, and they would fix them, take them to their vet, whatever was wrong with them. Sometimes they would have burns, because you'd be surprised how many things that we use on a daily basis are actually tested on animals.
Oh, God.
There's actually an app that you can download from the Beagle Freedom Project, and you can see if the things you use every day are tested. So anyway, so she would grab those dogs, bring them back to the States, have them treated, and then she would highly vet all these people that would want to adopt them. And it's so emotional when you see these dogs walk outside of the kennels for the first time ever, and they're little.
Be touched by a human being.
Be told good job, good boy, good girl, given a treat, put on a bed, a soft bed, taken for a walk. They don't know what to do. They touch grass for the first time when they get out of these kennels. And it's amazing to see the transformation. So the story that I got to do was kind of a roundup of all these animals who had been adopted, coming back together, having like a birthday party of their freedom.
Yeah, a gathering.
Oh my goodness, it was amazing. So that still happens to this day. You can find them on Instagram. I retweet a lot of their things and post it on Instagram as well. So the Beagle Freedom Project, great project.
One of the toughest days of my life was when my dog died. Well, actually, he didn't die. I had to put him down. I brought that. He couldn't even lift his head. He was 13 years old, and all of a sudden, he just lost all ability to even move around. And it just like happened all of a sudden. And they said he had cancer, and he only had days to live anyway, and so they put him on pain meds.
Yeah.
So he could handle it. She said, "You got to put him down." I said, "I don't want to put him down." She said, "You're not doing him any favors." So she finally convinced me, she being the veterinarian, convinced me to bring him in. So I bring him in this one day, and she says, had me go in a room with him, and she says, "You can spend a little time with him. I'll give you a half an hour." So I get on the floor with him, and it's no easy task, me getting on the floor nowadays with my third artificial knee. Anyway, I'm on the floor with him, and I got him on my lap, and talking to him and all that stuff. And the half-hour time gets up. She comes in the room. She goes, "It's time now." And I go, "No, it's not." I get up. I pick up my dog. We're going home. I take him back home. That night, he wants to go out. I know when he wants to go out because he goes to the door.
Yeah.
Like you said, he actually can turn the knob, right? He goes to the door. I open the door to let him out. He had a doggy door, so I didn't even have to go out to the doors. But he doesn't come back in. So, I don't know, an hour or so goes by, so I go outside, and he's in the backyard, and he dug up the grass, and he dug out an area. He dug it down, about that much, and he was lying in it, in that area. So I go out, see, what's the matter, Jack? How are you, and all this stuff. And I talk to him like a human being, right?
Yeah.
That's what you do, right?
Right.
And he wasn't really responding. He couldn't lift his head up. So I go in the house, I get a quilt, and I bring it outside, because it was cool, even though it was in the fall, but it was cool. So I cover him and me, and I lay down.
You're going to make me cry. Oh, my goodness, no, really?
I lay down on the grass.
You're not supposed to make me cry. This is supposed to be happy. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, we lay down in the grass anyway for about an hour and a half or so, and then I brought him in the house, and then I brought him the next day.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, that was it. Sorry about that.
It's the hardest decision,
That was awful. Awful.
to do that. It really is.
That was awful.
So I've been really blessed to live in so many different states with my career, and one of my favorite humans on this planet is a woman that I was only originally supposed to be renting her garage apartment for a couple months, and I fell in love with this woman. She's just has the kindest soul. She's a huge animal lover, and she shows dogs at dog shows.
Right.
She has Afghan wolfhounds. They're beautiful, very
I
large
know what
dogs
they are. Sure,
with
sure.
real
I
hair.
know what they are.
And
These are clean, by the way.
Thank you. Sorry, I did not expect to cry today, Bob. So
I'm sorry I made you cry.
anyway, she is just like the kindest human, and she had this beautiful dog that had white blonde hair, and his name was Cezanne, after the artist. And he was just an angel of a dog. And anyway, and I spent a lot of time with him. And she called me down one night and she said, hey, I think we need to make a decision. And so we sat with him on the bed for quite a while, and having to do that, that was the first dog that I've ever had to put down.
Awful.
Heartbreaking. I mean, we were bawling.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because you create such a bond with these animals, and I don't even want to think about it.
People that don't have animals have no idea. They really have no idea how hard it is.
And I think sometimes, I might sound weird, but I feel so close to my dogs. I'm not like one of those crazy dog ladies, but I feel like you feel so close because you spend every day with them, more so than a lot of people that you spend time with, and you do have those conversations. And when the dog, tilts his head and then, listens, they've been on with you for all of your bad days, all of your good days, the breakups.
And it's unconditional love.
Unconditional
love.
Oh my goodness, I know. And so that's why I can't understand how people can hurt animals or be mean to them.
It drives me crazy when I see that. When you see them, what they do to these dogs, they're kicking them and whatever else they do to dogs. I don't like that at all. I don't like it at all.
Okay.
So we got that out
We're
now?
good.
Now, you said you've been
good.
a lot of
You
places.
can tell I have a soft heart, right?
I
I
guess.
just love animals, and that just, that's a crazy story. That got me. That gets me.
Where were you born?
So I was born in California.
Where?
My parents, San Luis Obispo, California. My parents were both in the military. So my mom was a nurse in the Army. And shortly after I was born, then we moved to Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
What a difference.
Well, I was little, so I didn't know, right? So I was like a year old. We moved to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where my mom had grown up, and my grandma and my grandpa helped raise me. And my grandma was an English as a second language teacher, and I was just a big fan of going to school with her. Even though I wasn't old enough, so I'd go to school with her sometimes, and she was amazing. So when my mom was going back to college and she was working, I spent a lot of time with my grandma. My grandpa passed away when I was about 6, and we ended up moving to a small town in Iowa.
Oh my God.
Very small farming community where my grandma was actually raised. So she retired, and the whole fam moved to this small farming community in Iowa called Creston in southwestern Iowa. Just a really beautiful area. A lot of people say Iowa is flat. It is not. There's rolling hills. It's absolutely gorgeous. And
A lot of corn.
A ton of corn. They even put it in the gas.
Exactly.
They put it in the gas. The gas is a little bit cheaper, better for the environment there. So I grew
seem
up
to
there.
remember driving through there, and you're just driving through between cornfields.
Cornfields. Yeah, it's beautiful.
And pull over and grab a whole bunch of corn, throw it in the car, and go to and find out it's cow corn.
I was going to say, it's not good corn.
Yeah, they put the first 5 rows or something cow corn.
Well, a lot of it is cow corn in total. There are a couple families that just sell sweet corn, and everyone says, "Oh, do you want some corn?" Now that I'm an adult, I'm like, no. I'm corned out. I had to shuck so much corn when I was growing up. It's very cheap there, so that was a staple when I was growing up.
Yep. Yeah. I can get it. I understand. I understand. There's a lot of places, even Connecticut, have a lot of corn. Believe it or not.
Interesting.
You go western Connecticut. If you take 14 west, I used to ride motorcycles for years, and I liked going in the country roads and stuff. If you take 14, which is Plainfield Street in Cranston,
Yeah.
you take it west. It goes through a town called Oneiko, Connecticut. There's like 6. Well, there was back in 20 years ago, there were 6 houses there in the whole area. And why I remember the town was when I was in college, or just got out of college, I ended up working for a tire company. I used to sell high-end tires like Pirelli Centeradas and stuff. And one of my clients was down in Orange, Connecticut. It was 100 miles each way. And another client was in Oneiko, Connecticut. It was a gas station, one building. It was a gas station. It was the parent medicine store, like a CVS store without the pharmaceutical stuff. Yeah. And, you want shampoo and all that stuff. It had that stuff. And it had a hardware store. It was all one. It was Ezel's is the name of it. I can't believe I still remember it. Anyway, it was one of my stops. And I went by there one day, and there was trees all over the place, very green. And one road, like I said, it was 14 and 14A. They split, and they both went out to Route 12, which goes north to south. Anyway, I'm driving through it, and I see there's just material hanging from the trees all over the like somebody what do you when they put on the trees in Christmas? What's that stuff they put on?
Oh, tinsel.
Tinsel.
Yeah.
It was like tinsel, but it was all material. Yeah. A house had been blown up. A guy was the snitch or whatever. Somebody had stole 49 guns from an armory in Connecticut, and or Westerly. I can't remember if they were stolen from Westerly or just over the border in Connecticut, wherever there is an armory, military armory. Well, somebody that was in the military had stolen these 49 weapons, and this guy turned state's evidence against him. Well, the guy goes home, and he lived in one of those 6 houses, and the house was a football field away from Ezel's, right? But he happened to be up up in the loft putting tires away, right? When the thing blew, and it knocked him right off the damn loft. He didn't get hurt bad. He got banged up, but he didn't get hurt bad. But I stopped to find out what the hell's going on here. And he said, "Take a look over there." And he looked, and it looked like a dollhouse. The whole front of the house was blown off. And it was a 2-decker house. And you could see the second floor, and you could see in the living room. You could see, first floor, you could see the living room and the kitchen. Yeah. Second floor, you could see the bedrooms and the bathroom. The whole front of the house was blown right off. What happened was the guy went home to do something, get something out of the house, and they apparently found out who finked on him, right?
Yes.
That this guy was the guy, and they were indicted, but they were on bail. And they're in the military, so they get access to C4 explosives.
Oh, my word.
Well, the guy he left his car running. He went to go in the house to get something. As soon as he opened that door, ba-boom, blew the whole door, killed him, of course.
Oh, my goodness.
And he was the state's witness against those guys. Ooh. And I do not know what ended up happening with those guys. They ended up getting released or whatever because the witness is gone.
Wow.
But it blew the entire front of the house off. And the guy, Ezel, on the property where the gas station was, he had a donkey. He called him Sugar. And the donkey, he could roll over like a dog. Oh. Yeah. The donkey would go roll over, and the donkey would go down, and he'd roll over just like a dog.
What a story.
It was the craziest thing. Yeah.
Wow. That is crazy.
But driving all through that area, it's all cornfields.
Corn.
Everywhere it's cornfields.
Yeah.
You go for miles and miles and miles.
So I can appreciate it now. I just don't eat corn anymore. Yeah. Not a big fan. We had a lot of corn, and we did a lot of fishing when I was growing up, so we had a lot of catfish fries.
Oh,
so
God,
I don't I don't really eat any seafood. I know that's offends some people here. I know, but
no seafood.
Well,
yeah, but wait a minute. Seafood from the sea is a lot different than some pond or something.
Yeah, right. But I never gravitated toward it. I've tried it.
How about shellfish?
No. Once in a while, I'll have some lobster or some shrimp, but it has to be prepared a certain way. I'm a little finicky.
That's okay, though. I mean,
I'm a cheap date.
I was just going to say, that's exactly what I was going to say.
No, because I really do enjoy a good steak, growing up in Iowa. I actually even was able to spend some time.
I even like that more than you like steak.
Well, I also spent some time in Argentina, and they have really amazing steak there. Yeah, I took some semesters of Spanish there, and the food is just fantastic there as well. So I do appreciate a good steak, maybe some grilled asparagus. Yeah, Brussels sprouts.
Right.
Yeah.
I just bought some Brussels sprouts. And back in the day, one of my first jobs was in a pizza restaurant. And you talk about corn, you know, after seeing it, eating it all the time. For a while there, I didn't even want to see pizza.
That's why you're so good at making pizza now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I made back in the day? I was working one time, it wasn't busy, and somebody, some relative in the family or something, it was their birthday coming up. So I made them a pizza, and I put like Tiffany, happy birthday, Tiffany.
And pepperoni?
Oh, pepperoni, peppers, mushrooms, black olives. Yeah.
So great.
It was pretty good. In fact, I made one recently over here. I think I brought it in here. I can't remember what I did with it, but I made somebody's birthday.
That's sweet.
The last couple of months I did.
So that was your first job at a pizza place?
It wasn't my first job. It was my first job in a restaurant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I had many jobs, even younger than that. Because I grew up with, there was 8 of us, and my father died when the oldest was 13.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And my youngest brother wasn't even born yet. He was born 6 or 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, my father died the 13th of October. He was born the 30th of November.
Wow.
So what is that?
6
weeks later, 7 weeks later.
6 weeks, a couple days, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So she actually had 3 or maybe even 4 kids in diapers at the time because my 3 younger brothers were only 10 months apart.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're from a very big family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and you're the only child.
I'm an only child.
Just the
I'm an only
absolute
child.
opposite.
You know, it's funny that we talk about first jobs. My first job, I was kind of one of all those weirdos that always knew what I wanted to do. So growing up in this small town, our newspaper didn't come out until the next day or a day after that, right? It came out in the afternoon.
So old news is good news.
Well, that was the only, right? That and the radio station. And so my mom had a scanner in the house, and we were always tuned in to the news. So it just was second nature, you know, we'd know what was going on. It was a small town, you know. And so I'm a big scanner hound. That's what I've always done, and I've kind of worked my way up through the news business. But my first job was at this country music radio station where we also had farm radio. I gave the ag report
farm
every day
radio.
As well. Yeah.
So instead of the weather report, you got the weather report.
Yeah, and then we also had ag. And so when I was in 8th grade, I was just hounding my mom. I read the school announcements, and so the secretary, bless her heart, she said, "Hey Tiff, there's this job opening. Maybe you should apply." And
For what?
so it was an afternoon drive host. So I hosted a live radio program. It was a call.
Yeah. How old?
Well, so that I was 13, 14. I was in 8th grade. So I was haranguing my mom and my grandma to take me. And so my mom told me later in life, you know, I just wanted to hear you stop telling me to take me, nagging. She was like, we never thought you'd get the job. And so I went.
She said you never thought you'd
Well,
get
I
the
was
job?
13.
Right,
This was a real job, you know, a lot of responsibility. And so.
Oh, you're actually going to get paid for it, too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, cool.
So I remember having this conversation with my uncle, and he was like, you know, maybe you should just volunteer to grab coffee and, like, you know, take out the trash. And I said, yeah, literally anything I can do, you don't have to pay me. So I went in, I gave them my resume, I had volunteered a lot and babysat, and they called me back to do a read. And so I went into the booth, and they gave me a read. I read it cold, they recorded me, they said, we'll call you. Sure enough, they called me, and they offered me the job. And there were other people that applied for it,
and
too.
it wasn't just getting a coffee, either.
No,
you
it wasn't.
were going to be on the radio.
I was. So my mom would pick me up after volleyball practice every day at 4:30, 4 o'clock, and we'd go out to the edge of town, and she would drop me off at 4:30. I would dump out all the trash cans in the building. I got paid. I would dump out all the trash cans, and then I'd go prepare for my call-in show, and it was a live call-in show. So they trained me. You know, this was old school days. Not everything was automated. Really, nothing was automated. We did have a computer, but everything was do it by yourself. There were a ton of, you know, buttons here and there. And so they trained me for a couple weeks, and then they left me. I was 13. I had a key to the station.
Wow.
And I hosted this live.
So wait a minute, you did that thing, you were only one in the station many times then, I guess.
Yeah.
At 13 years old.
Yeah, so we had this live
Wow.
call-in program where people would advertise things that they had for sale.
Right.
And, you know, Iowa gets a lot of bad weather as well. So I remember it was just a short time after
Tornadoes? You get a lot of tornadoes out there?
Yes. Oh, yes, absolutely. That have gone through town, through farms that, you know, are just on the outskirts of town. And so it was just a few weeks, I think, after I started. And I had to tell folks, hey, there's been a tornado spotted. Get in your basement. And we got, you know, I called in the rest of the crew to come back in and help me, but it was a lot of responsibility. It was so much fun. And so from there, I did a lot of radio and news broadcasting competitions where
Right.
you'd, you know, produce your own, you know, broadcast.
Oh, cool.
And that was a competition. And so one of my judges was actually the manager of a radio station, a classic country, you know, Johnny
Ooh.
Cash, Waylon
Oh,
Jennings,
yeah,
Dolly
yeah.
Parton. So he called me one day after he judged me in this competition, and he said, hey, what are you doing on Wednesday? It was a 2-hour late start. He said, you want to come over and I'll interview you for you know, I'll just interview you live on the air, tell people what you do. And so I got up early, I drove, and I got there, and he goes, well, you know the board, right? And I said, yeah. And he goes, have at it, do whatever you want. Here are the CDs, pick what you want.
Nice.
You have 2 hours, there
So
you
this
go.
is the biggest station now you're talking.
Well, it was just a different station. It was about
Right.
a half an hour away.
Right.
They might have had a little bit of a bigger reach into larger cities. They went all the way down to Kansas City, up to Des Moines. And so after the show, he said, well, hey, what are you doing this summer? And I said, oh, I'm not really sure. I worked at at that time I was 16, and I worked at it was called Do It Best, so it was kind of like a True Value hardware store.
Yeah.
And he said, well, why don't you host the show all summer? We'll call it Murph in the Morning.
Murph in the morning.
And I was ecstatic.
I'll
so
bet.
It was from, I wanted to say 5 to 9 every day. And so I got up very early.
I guess.
And hosted the show. And the coolest part at the end of the show, it was just what they did. We had Lee Greenwood's God Bless the USA that would
of course.
kind of take us out of the
course,
show
yeah,
every single
yeah.
day. And a couple weeks ago, it was on my bucket list always. I got to go to a Kansas City Chiefs football game. They're my team.
Nice.
Sorry, I know I live here now,
Nice.
but they'll always be my team. And it was their playoff game.
I had picked them to be in the Super Bowl.
Did you?
I
I know, that game was heartbreaking. Anyway, so I got to go to one of the playoff games in Kansas City. It was my first time at Arrowhead
Nice, yeah.
Stadium. And guess who was there? Lee Greenwood singing God Bless the USA.
Live.
Talk about a full 180 moment. It's like,
Nice.
oh, this is amazing. He did a great job. So that was my favorite game I've been to.
Well, Kansas City Chiefs, I was a fan of them decades ago.
Were you?
Lenny Dawson was the quarterback.
Yeah, I had his
Yeah.
jersey. My stepdad got it for me.
And Taylor was a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Otis Taylor was the wide receiver. And number 17 was Wright. His name was Wright. Otis Taylor's number was 89. I remember them being on their own 1 yard line. And Lenny Dawson goes back to pass, and Taylor goes down the sideline, and he was fast, and he got by the defender, and Dawson threw it as far as he could throw it, probably to the other 40-yard line, and he catches it at full speed, and he runs all the way for a touchdown, a 99-yard
Yes,
touchdown pass.
yes.
I was going crazy when I heard that. Yeah.
So great.
That was my team back in the day.
Yeah. Well, who's your team now?
Well, you got to be a Patriot.
What are you, a
fan.
fair weather fan?
No,
You can't still be a Chiefs?
I
I'm
was-
kidding.
no,
I'm
I was
kidding
with
you.
them
I'm
for
kidding
years,
you.
for years, for decades, I was an Oriole fan, Baltimore Oriole
Yeah.
fan. In fact, I met Frank Robinson, who was my favorite player of all time, and I got to spend a whole week with him. I was at, could I have some friends on
No
TV?
way.
And one of my good friends for years, in fact, I watched the Super Bowl with him this past weekend, is Joe Rocco, who used to be a sportscaster on Channel 10 with Frank Carpano. And we watched the football games every week.
Yes.
And of course, we watched the Super Bowl game together.
Right.
But he used to he's a promotional guy now, and he ran for, 15 years down in Newport, the Newport Comedy Series. I saw every comedian you can imagine, all the top guys you ever seen,
Yeah.
Dane Cook, and anybody who was anybody, I saw, and just walk right in. I would walk right in, you know.
Cool.
And if I had a date, we would walk right in. And
Fantastic.
the seat was open in the front row. I got the seat in the front
Oh,
row.
you sat in the front row?
Wherever.
That's always a...
Not all the time. No. If there was a seat open, but I might get the sixth
Well, you know
row.
why you don't sit in the front row at a comedy show, right? You might get
No,
roasted.
I don't want to sit in the front row.
I
of
know,
a
that's what
comedy
I'm
show.
saying.
No, definitely not. No, definitely
Yeah.
not. But different events, and I got to
Yeah.
do a special. Dane Cook was doing a 2-day event down in Boston. He got paid $3.2 million for 3 shows at the Boston Garden.
Oh.
I think it's the Garden. They don't call it that anymore. Anyway, he wanted to test his material
Yeah.
at the comedy show in East Providence, and they hired me to videotape his show in East Providence. So I said, I got my son with me this weekend. Oh, don't worry about that. One guy says, don't worry about it. He's not bad. He doesn't use the F word a lot.
I was going to say, he'll just learn some new words this weekend. Did he?
No, he didn't use the F word a lot.
Earmuffs.
Everything he did was talking about sex. I mean, he was like talking about how he did his girl and all this.
Boy.
I mean, I'm going.
How old was your son?
Joe, I don't know, 8, 9 or something
Oh,
at
my
the
goodness.
time. I'm going, what the hell did you do? He goes, I didn't know he was going to be doing that stuff.
We had to have some conversations with little Johnny
Yeah,
after that night.
that was a difficult day. I mean, he got worldly, very quickly.
Oh boy, that's a young age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they used the tape, and they looked over the tape, and they
Right.
looked over at the crowd, because I had 2 cameras, one on the crowd and one on him, as he was doing his stuff. And they took out some of the stuff. After watching the tape, and they saw the reaction. It didn't work. This joke didn't work, so they would take it out.
Got it.
And he
Yeah, you
went
got
up
to
there.
test it out.
I think it was $3.2 million for 3 shows. That was
Good for him. If you can do it, go for
money.
it.
Yeah, big money.
A little raunchy though.
Yeah, it was too raunchy. Even for me, I thought it was.
Even for you, I don't know you that well, but that must be pretty bad, Bob.
No, believe me, people out there know me, and they know. I've not raunchy, but
Yeah.
I've had my moments.
Well, we've both had some cool jobs then, haven't we? Some cool gigs.
Yeah. So you've been how many states?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I lived in Iowa. I worked in Iowa. I worked in Santa Barbara, California.
I love Santa Barbara, California.
How can you not?
That is such a
Right?
beautiful town. I
just
did a
expensive.
show at the jail, at the little the town jail.
Really?
Yeah, the jail and the court.
What do you mean you did a show? What is it?
I do. My other show, actually, the first show I did on TV was called Bob's Big Adventure.
So you filmed a show there?
Yeah, I did a lot of shows on location. Like I've been to Russia, and I've been to China, and I've been to.
I have my passport in the car. Do you need a co-host? We'll do it again.
Yeah,
We'll go around the world.
That was.
Let's go.
Oh my God, are you kidding? I've done some shows in Hungary. I've been to Budapest, Hungary, a couple of times. I've been to Debrecen, Hungary, the home of the Calvinistic religion. I've been to Rio de Janeiro. I've been to.
Well, there.
Brazil.
That's awesome.
I'm talking about you, not me.
Wow. Well, yeah, but that's pretty interesting. So Santa Barbara. And then, let's see, I lived in Las Vegas, Nevada, Laughlin, Nevada.
Laughlin, I like.
Missoula, Montana.
Oh, God.
That was.
Big sky.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. And it really is bigger. It seems bigger
it
there.
is,
It's so
absolutely.
beautiful. The people are really nice. The crime is low. The air is so clean.
Well, I was watching a show on Drugs Incorporated on cable channel last night, and I couldn't sleep. I was up all night, and one of the shows was about Montana and the problem they're having with drugs up there.
Really?
Yeah, they're having a bad problem with methadone. Is it methadone?
Yeah, meth, yeah.
there.
Unfortunately, that's really happening all across America.
All over the world.
Yeah.
All over the United States.
Really,
especially.
really bad. Yeah, new places are seeing it. Missoula, Montana, Texas.
Where?
Just outside of Houston, Beaumont, Texas. I was there for 6 years.
Why do I know that?
Well, a couple of reasons.
Beaumont,
We've had a lot of hurricanes while I was there, a lot of hurricanes, and also one of the refineries exploded.
That's what it was. I think that's why I remember it.
Literally homes. It's very interesting, that's our bread and butter
Yep.
in Beaumont, Texas, and the surrounding areas. There's a lot of other really cute bedroom communities, but the houses are built very close to the refineries. In fact,
nuts.
Some of the playgrounds are literally from here to where the control room is.
Why would you build a house so
let me
close
tell you,
to a
Bob.
refinery?
Well, it's easy to get to work, and
Short distance to work.
so when I first went there, the great thing about having the opportunity to move all these different places is that not only do you get to meet great friends, but everyone does things a little differently, right? It's
Right.
not wrong or right, it's
Right.
just different.
It's
And so
different,
it
exactly.
really opens up your eyes, how we characterize things, at my station here or cover the news. Different jail proceedings, all a little different, right?
Yep.
So when you move to a place, you kind of try and figure it out. So we got this press release, and I said to my boss, I said, "Oh, how nice is this?" I was so, just blonde moment. I said, "How
A
nice is
blonde
this?"
moment?
Yeah. "How nice is this? This refinery, which will be unnamed,
Right.
is donating a playground to the city." Love it. Let's go.
Right
Let's
next
cover
to
it.
right next to the refinery.
You just wait, Bob. And my boss said, Tiffany, you know they were mandated, forced by the government to do that.
Right.
But they're spinning it, and in their press release it just says, like, how nice are we?
what
We're
nice
given this
company.
land.
Yeah.
You know why they're doing that? Well, because they are polluting the air we're breathing. And there was a leak, and so this is what they're doing. So anyway, so that
So
story.
the leak is from the plant, and the playground's next to the plant, and the kids are playing in the playground, and they got a leak at the plant. That makes sense.
Here's the thing, though. If you use anything that has plastic in it, glass, tires, it all comes, right? It's a necessary evil.
Right.
So when it exploded, it obviously made national headlines. And when it exploded, I did a lot of research on this specific plant that we won't name. And turns out, this is what I found in my research and through talking to a lot of insiders who were...
Now, this is when you were
When I lived in
down
Beaumont,
there.
a lot of insiders that didn't want to be named but gave me a lot of great detail. Turns out the government has such a small amount of fines when you do something wrong, if you're a plant. Now, to you and me, it's a lot of money. But to a plant that is making millions
Chump
and millions
change.
of dollars
Cost
every
of
day.
doing business.
So it is cheaper, Bob, to not fix the problem and
Right.
just pay the fine
Right.
than to
fix it.
actually fix it, shut
Right.
down the plant. And so there was some massive injustice done, and that's why it caused this explosion that, in fact, knocked people's homes off of their foundations.
Wow. Because if they
Can you
would have
imagine
fixed the
that?
problem, they wouldn't have exploded. It wouldn't have never exploded.
Right, but they also would have had to stop, and they wouldn't have made as much revenue, things like that. And so I really dug, I don't like liars. And that's one of the reasons why I got into news. It really upsets me when people are being shady. And at the end of the day, I think, especially in this climate, the news has gotten a bad rap. So personally, for me, it is my job to tell the sides of the story. There's often 3 sides.
Yeah.
And then you as the viewer can figure out what's happening. And that's my job. I'm purely the narrator. And I want to hold people accountable, especially governments that are utilizing our money and being very fiscally irresponsible with it, right? So, we're talking about a massive explosion and tens of thousands of residents that not only cannot go home, but we were breathing the air. And while the air was being monitored, they said it was perfectly fine.
And
Listen,
how long a time was this going on?
days. I was very sick. I was close to the area.
You were sick from that?
I can't say that, but I happened
Well,
to
you
be sick
think
after
you
that.
were.
I
You
was
think
on
you were.
4 different medications. I'm tentatively a healthy person, and I'm not really often on medications at all. I take a lot of vitamins and try and eat well. But I was very sick after that, and there was a line outside of all the pharmacies, and everybody was being prescribed the same thing. So I don't know. You put 2 and 2 together. Anyway, I'll get off that point. But so it was very upsetting when we were asking these people questions. And obviously they have lawyers and a team, and they know they did wrong. And there was a massive lawsuit, and they are trying to pay back people, but it's taken a while. So
Were there any implications to you during your investigation? Did you get threatened by anybody?
I might have
Have
gotten
cars follow you? Did stuff like that happen?
I might have gotten some interesting emails when
Yeah.
I was doing my investigation and being pushy, really, because, I'm saying, hey, what are in these spheres? They were these round spheres. What's in that? Oh, we don't know. Do you not know? Really?
Yeah.
You do know. And then my favorite is, and all of this is public knowledge. This broadcast was on the air. It was nominated for an Emmy. So, I go on air, and then I have people starting to call me like, hey, don't say my name. But they, even though the plant lost power, they absolutely know there's a backup. They absolutely know at what time, how much chemical of X, Y, and Z was in each cylinder, all these things. So I took that knowledge, I took the OSHA records, things like that, and I said, look, we need to know some answers, for heaven's sake. Like, get me the answers. We need to know. So we found out eventually.
Yeah.
It was a day later, 2 days.
After the explosion.
After, right. Because nobody knew. We had gotten, some calls, hey, they're not doing what they should. But after the explosion, then obviously all hands on deck figuring out what the heck.
Oh, hell breaks
Right,
loose, too, after the explosion.
literally.
How many people
Literally.
died?
That's the thing, not a one.
Nobody died.
It was crazy. All the people that were working at that plant were able to shelter in the bomb shelter at that time. I don't know what it's necessarily called, but it's
Oh.
similar to a bomb shelter.
Yeah. Well, it must have been.
They
It
were okay.
worked.
They were okay. Now, here's the thing. We all know how is cancer caused?
Yeah.
So we won't know probably
But
for a
if
very
a whole
long
bunch
time.
of people in one area catch cancer, it's like the movie Civil Action with John Travolta. Did
I
you
haven't
see
seen
that
it,
movie?
no.
That was a movie that was filmed in Massachusetts, and yours truly's in it.
Are ya?
Yeah, with John Travolta
Wow.
and Robert Duvall. And there's one scene where they walk behind. I play a rigger, drilling.
Yeah.
Rig, and I got the hard hat on and the brown shirt, brown uniform
Right.
on, and I got a big pipe, and I'm putting it in to connect to make
Yes.
the pipe longer.
Yes.
They add as they go
Like a
down.
straw,
They add
yep.
another second. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And ironically, when I saw when they were shooting it, I'm saying, oh, they're going to put them in focus, and I'm going to be out of focus, right? Because they're the stars, right?
You were in focus.
I was in focus, and they were out of focus, which I thought was very odd, and I was very happy with. And exactly 1 hour into that movie, exactly 60
Check it
minutes
out.
into that movie, you can see me
I love
in that
it.
movie, only for a second.
Can I
you
get
know.
your autograph? One of my most fun times, I don't want to be an actress or anything, but one of my
You
most...
could be. You're
What-
beautiful.
Oh, thanks. One of my...
I would normally not even ask this, but I can tell you're a natural blonde.
I am.
You absolutely are natural
I am,
blonde.
I am.
And by the way, I'm one of the few people left that loves blondes. I mean, I think
What, is it a rare breed now? Few people
nowadays
that love blondes? What do you mean?
No, think about it. You look on TV, you never see a blonde anymore. It's like, where
Really?
did they go?
Really?
Where did they go?
We're here, Bob.
You look on every morning show, NBC, ABC, CBS, and the only blonde you see on any one of those shows is a girl that I also had on this show.
Yeah.
It was Dylan Dreyer, who was on
Dylan.
Channel 10 back in
Yeah.
the day. She's the only blonde.
great.
The other channels, they all have not only not blondes, they're all black.
I feel like there's a good mix these days.
Oh God,
That
no.
it really reflects,
No.
reflects what the audience looks like?
Oh
It's a
God,
great
no,
mix?
no. If you
Oh.
come on, if you reflect it, the Caucasian population represents what, 60% of the country, or even if it's 40% of the country. I know. Wow, I know blacks only represent 14% of the country.
We're having a blast. I just saw that time cue.
Can you believe that?
Where did the time go, Bob?
Holy good gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go on CBS in the morning. It's got Gayle King. It's got Ned. I can't think of his last name, and Tony DeCopo, who is Caucasian, and the other guy there that's on. He's African American. So there's 3 out of 4 are African American. NBC in the morning. It's 2, 3, 1 Caucasian, and ABC is no Caucasians. in
So
the
now
morning.
that we have 4 minutes.
No, 1. I'm sorry, 1 Caucasian.
Now that we have 4 minutes left, is this the hot round with Bob or what?
Go ahead. We'll do
What
the hot
happens?
round. What do you want to talk about?
No, you tell
We only
me.
got 4. I can't believe that.
We'll have to do it again.
We're going to have to do it again. We didn't even get into any of my questions.
We're going to take the show on the road.
Wow. We're going to talk about a road trip. Have you ever wanted to do a road trip?
I'm game. I drove myself with my U-Haul
Yep.
and my animals from Texas to here.
I'm thinking about buying this. A friend of mine called me the other day, Super Bowl Sunday, about a property in Marathon on the Keys to buy.
Yeah.
It was a last-minute deal. It was but it's a trailer and it's on leased land. I don't like that idea.
Ah.
But I do like Marathon, Florida, and it's a great place to go if you like the water.
I am a fan of Florida.
Especially, and I like this. I'm not a real fan of Florida because I don't like the hot weather. I would never be down there in the
right.
summertime.
Yeah.
But the Keys are not as warm as the rest of Florida.
Got it.
Even in the summer, it's not quite as well. You always got a breeze. You always got
That's nice,
something going.
yeah.
But the Keys, have you ever been down the Keys?
A long time ago, much.
Well, this
when I was
place,
much younger.
there's a whole bunch of, the Keys are actually a whole bunch of islands, a grouping of islands.
Yep.
246 islands or something. And they're all connected by causeways and bridges.
Yeah.
The biggest bridge
beautiful.
is called the 7 Mile Bridge. And Marathon is right after you get off the 7 Mile Bridge. It's the first town after you get off the 7 Mile Bridge. And my friend, 2 friends, husband and wife, they're friends of mine, they're from Pawtucket, but they live down there now. In fact, his car's in my yard. He left it up here. Yeah, so he called me the other day. He said, "Oh, got a great deal to buy this trailer, a nice trailer down there, but I don't like the lease land thing because the rent's $1,200 a month for the lease."
Oh, that's quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I could buy the trailer's nothing.
I got to tell you, I'm a big fan of seasons. You know, in Texas, we don't really have seasons.
No
in Las
kidding.
Vegas, other
Same
places that
thing.
have, yeah. And so it has been so
This
refreshing.
is the best place.
The fall.
I am telling you,
Beautiful.
I'm sorry we didn't get into that, so we got to be on again because people that live here do not appreciate the fact that we have 4 seasons in this part of the country.
Yeah.
You go to, like you said, Texas, Nevada. There's no seasons.
California, yeah.
California, yeah.
And even the winter, I love it. I love the snow. Now, look, maybe talk to me in a few years. I'll be over it. But I absolutely love it now. I love being outside when it snows, snowshoeing,
You part
cross
German,
country.
Swedish? What is it?
No, I'm a mix. I'm a mix of a lot
Oh,
of
it's
things.
something. There's got to be something. What is it?
But I love it, and I love not having crazy hurricanes. Right,
There
like
you
we
go.
had. And I'm not a fan of humidity. And everyone says, well, it's a little humid here. No. We're not talking like Southeast Texas humid where I came from.
Exactly.
Where you're pouring. So it's really
When-
beautiful.
How about when people say to us up here, they'll say, "Yeah, but it's not as humid down in Arizona or Texas. But it's 120 degrees. I don't care if it's not as humid."
Well, that is a dry heat, and I can appreciate that.
You can?
Yes.
Yeah?
I love a dry heat. Yeah.
I don't like any heat.
But it really is such a blessing to live in this part of the country. I mean, I'm so happy to be here. When I came, I had a few other offers, and I was so happy to join ABC6. So many great things going on there as we wrap up. So many amazing things. New leadership is coming in,
Right.
and we have some really amazing fresh talent.
And you got John DeLuca.
Oh my goodness,
He's
John
my man. I
DeLuca
love
knows
John.
his stuff.
John is the man.
He's a
really
great
is.
human as well. Yeah, great asset to have. And so I knew when I was here, I was like, this is where I want to be. We got to make it happen.
Good.
And I came in a July day. It was absolutely beautiful. Walked all along downtown, along the river. Gorgeous. And so best decision I've made in my life so far to move
In
here.
July, where would you be in Texas in July?
120 degrees. No, I'm kidding. It would be full humidity.
Now, there's a place that's flat.
Texas.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. When I would bike outside, it's totally flat. Yeah.
You can drive for 5 hours before you see a human.
Right. You drive for 45 minutes, you're still in the same county in Texas. Here,
Right.
I'm in New York almost. No, I'm
Right.
kidding. But
Well, you can't. The furthest place from the ocean or the bay here is 35 miles. The furthest place from the ocean.
it's so great. Everything's so close.
Exactly.
I love
and we
it.
don't get tornadoes, and we don't get earthquakes, and we don't get mudslides, and we don't get fires, big fires, and we don't get floods.
We're very blessed. We really are.
We don't have any real extreme weather. So you just spent an hour with Bob, and we didn't even get into half of the stuff I wanted to talk about with you.
We'll have to
I
do
gotta
it
have you
again.
back.
Yes, please. It
You're
was a pleasure.
joy, my God. What a nice person you are.
You're not so bad yourself.
Hey.
No, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
it
I'm
was
glad
great.
you came. Really glad you came. In fact, I'm glad you came alone. Because I was going to say invite John, but I said I'm glad you came alone. We would have never got nothing done if you were John. If I had John here with you too, right?
He has some good stories.
Yeah, John. Really, seriously, John DeLuca is a great guy.
He
really is. He's a great human being. He helped me out a lot. Every year for Toys for Tots, he would be there for I used to do a telethon every year. I did it for 24 years. And John DeLuca would always show up every year. Some of the guys did too on other stations, but John was a guarantee. If John DeLuca said to me, I'll be there, he was there.
Yeah. He knows his stuff too. He's a great human.
Yeah.
He is such a great asset to have. I know I said that, but wow, to work with him too. He's a breath of fresh air. Yeah.
All right, give us your times because we're out of here. You got 5 seconds.
4, 5, 6, and 11 on ABC6. Find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Reporter Tiffany.
At Reporter Tiffany.
Yeah, all one word.
And it's Tiffany Murphy.
Tiffany Murphy.
That's an Irish name.
It is. But I did my ancestry DNA. I'm not really Irish.
You're not Irish?
Not really.
You
not a
got to
lot.
be German.
I'm a mix.
Swedish. We're done, folks. Thank you for spending an hour with Bob.